what's up and welcome back to my channel. I am the Mass Trans and you are watching me, baby. Now, before we get today's video started, I just want to give a quick what's up to my peeps and a diabolical middle finger to the creeps. You know who you are. Alright, you guys, so it is Friday evening. I was at home working and I need a little bit of a break. So I decided to go check out the Jerrod Carmichael comedy special on HBO. I would call it a stand-up special, but he kind of sat down the entire special, so it was a sit-down special. Now, I'm familiar with Jerrod Carmichael from the Carmichael Show, but I don't think that I've ever seen any of his stand-up or sit-down performances. So this was a first time for me, and I have to say, I will say, that I really, really enjoyed it. Now, let me tell you what I loved about this special. I love the fact that it was funny, it was introspective, it was poignant, it was heartfelt, it was intimate, it was honest. There was a lot to unpack in this particular special, so let's talk about it. So Jerrod Carmichael, who I don't necessarily know, I don't know his dating history, I don't follow him, to that degree. To be completely honest with you, I had forgotten he even existed. But he came out during this special and essentially said that he was gay. It seems to be a lot of that going around lately, right? Folks is coming up out of these closets in 2022. Do you hear me? So Jerrod came out during the special, or he came out prior to the special, but he just really sort of came out to the public during the special. And in the special, he talks about how people within his own family have responded to him being open about who he is after having kept it secret for so long. And one of the things I really loved about this special was the audience interactions, right? So while he wasn't being heckled, he was definitely having audience members who were posing questions to him during the special, which I thought was a really, really, it almost turned into like a little bit of a forum, if you will. So he's sitting there, he's on stage, and he talks about how he grew up in a house that was essentially, or a community that was essentially shrouded in secrecy, where there was all of these secrets that were not really secrets, right? It's just like the don't ask, don't tell rule of thumb that so many of us in Black households grow up knowing and understanding, right? So he talks about how his father was cheating on his mother and having kids out of wedlock, and how both his mother's father and his father's father essentially did the same thing, and it sort of just created this pathology of infidelity, right? Not only did it create a pathology of infidelity, it also created a pathology of secrecy, of shame, of dishonesty. And I thought he did a really great job in terms of not necessarily blaming his parents for him hiding who he was, but him being connected to that childhood trauma and how that shaped his adulthood. Does that make sense? So he talks about his dad, and then, probably midway through the special, he basically tells the audience, I'm a lot like my dad. I was a liar, I was a deceiver, I was a misleader, and I'm gay. I'm gay. And you could hear a pin drop in the room when he came clean about his sexual orientation. And it's so shocking to me that in 2022, A, that people still have to come out, and B, that people are still shocked that someone's LGBTQIA+. I don't get it. Let me tell you guys. We're going to take a quick detour for a second and talk about me, right? So I work in corporate America as a trans woman of color. And when I go to work, I do not lead with my transness, and maybe that's to my detriment, I do not know. But I'm not there to talk about my genitalia. I'm not there to talk about my gender identity. I am hired to perform a job. I do my job. I collect my pay, and I go home. So recently, someone at my job who is a trans man, we were having a team meeting, and this person essentially came out to the entire team and said, hey, I'm a trans man. And I was thinking to myself, on one hand, kudos that you're doing that. But on the other hand, was it necessary? And I'm not asking was it necessary because I feel like you should be ashamed of who you are and you should have to hide who you are. I just don't know what you being trans has to do with your ability to perform your job. And so for me, the two things are mutually exclusive. I don't understand it. I don't understand why people feel compelled to come out. I don't understand why people are invested in another person's existence, so to speak, outside of being invested in whether or not that person is healthy and happy. Those should be the only two things that matter. So I just wanted to say that really quick. I know I sort of segued, but let's get back and talk about Jerrod Carmichael. So he's talking about how he told his father, he told his brother, and both of them, while not necessarily over the moon about him coming out, both of them accepted it and sort of took it with a grain of salt, right? But it's his relationship with his mother that suffered the biggest blow as a result of him being open about his sexuality. You know, his mother is deeply religious, so that dogma, it will get you every time. And so when he came out, I'm paraphrasing here, but I believe that she essentially said that, you know, she could not turn her back on God. I don't understand that. I'm going to be honest, right? And so some of the people in the audience were saying to him, like, do you feel like you shouldn't have come out? Do you regret coming out? Give your mother time, this, that, and the third. All which I think were really, there was some really solid advice coming from the audience. And so you can tell by his energy that he is deeply affected by his mother's refusal to accept him, to acknowledge him, and to embrace him with a mother's love. Now listen, I know some of y'all are not going to like what I have to say, but I only have love for who loves me. I only have love for who loves me. It could be mother, brother, sister, cousin, aunt, uncle. I mean, pick a person, any person. If you don't love me, I'm going to pack my love up, tuck her away, and I'm going to keep moving. Now, that's not to say that I won't have some sort of emotional response or I won't feel some sense of loss or compassion. You know, like, I definitely have those feelings, but I cannot be sitting around depressed, angst-ridden, trying to fix a relationship with someone who does not want it to be fixed. I don't get that. Now, I do understand that as a mother, your job as a mother is to want the best for your kids. But I also think that as a mother, your job is to love your kids unconditionally. So anyway, he talks a lot about this relationship with his mother and the sense of loss that he feels. And I remember going through a lot of those same feelings that he went through. I remember being like really young, you guys. Like, I think I may have told you guys this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. I'm going to tell it again, sir. I'm going to tell it again. So I remember being like maybe 8 years old, right? Maybe 7, 8, I can't remember how old. Pretty young, prepubescent. And spending the night at one of my mother's friend's house, right? So my mother and the friend were going out. I was staying the night there. My mother's friend's husband was there and was going to be essentially, you know, making sure that I was okay. So they get dressed, they go out, and here I am in the house with my mother's friend's husband. So I'm in the living room watching TV, and he's in the bedroom, you know, watching TV or doing whatever he was doing in the bedroom. At some point during the course of the night, and there's also another man who lives with him who's upstairs, so this is a bi-level house. So I'm in the living room, he's in the bedroom, and the friend that lives with him is upstairs. So I'm watching TV, and at some point during the evening, I pass out. Dead to the world. I mean, some good sleep. And I wake up to a hand over my mouth and another hand trying to make its way into my pants. And I'm rolled over facing the sofa. So the living room is here. My face is that way. So my face is basically in the sofa. And the hand is over my mouth and someone is trying to go into my pants. So I wake up kicking and screaming. I mean, I'm screaming bloody murder at this point, right? And when I turn around, it is my mother's friend's husband who is trying to have his way with me, so to speak. When he turns around and he looks into my eyes and I look into his eyes, I don't know if something just clicked or I don't know what happened, but he immediately stopped and was like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. But I was so terrified in that moment that I remember running upstairs to the room where the roommate was because I felt safer there, right? And so I run upstairs, in his room, and he's asking me what's wrong. And I can't remember if I told him what was going on or what, but I know that he said, just stay in here, you'll be fine. Meanwhile, my mother's boyfriend's husband is at the bottom of the stairs apologizing, telling me he's sorry, this, that, and the third. But I was not leaving and going back down those stairs. So I stayed upstairs. Oh, what is this getting? I stayed upstairs until my mother came home. And I want to say that the guy who lived with them told my mother something had happened to me. Because I remember her coming into the room. She came and got me and took me to another room and asked me what happened. And I told her essentially what had happened. And her response in that instance was to grab me by my shirt so hard that her nails ripped into my skin, pulled the shirt off, and she was essentially upset with me. She was angry with me. I'm 7 years old, 8 years old. But she was upset with me because someone was trying to, and that created all sorts of feelings and confusion about I'm being doubly victimized, right? And while I'm expecting to be protected by my mother essentially added another layer of trauma in that particular instance. I didn't expect this video to go this long, but we're going to talk today. So, I couldn't make sense of it. Now, I do remember her going off on him and going left on him about touching her child and, so that came, but I could not understand why she was angry with me because there was nothing that I had done that made what he attempted to do okay. But what I came to realize as I became older and wiser was that my mother knew that I was different. She knew that I was different. It was clear as day. It was clear as day. A long time ago. Excuse me. It was clear. This isn't something that just happened overnight. This isn't some, sudden development. Who I am is who I've been. Okay? Since I was knee-high to a bullfrog. So, what I came to realize is that because I was so comfortable being me, and not only was I comfortable being me, my appearance was so soft that I feel like in that moment, in her ignorance, and yes, we're going to call it ignorance, my mother was ignorant in that moment. I'm sorry, love you, Mom. In that moment of ignorance, I really wholeheartedly believe that she felt like had I have not been me, that would not have happened. And that by being me, I essentially invited that energy and that behavior into my life. It was moments like that growing up where I would say to myself, when I grow up, I'm moving off. I'm going to become me. I'm going to become me. And I'm just never going to be able to talk to my family again. It is what it is, because the calling for me to be me was so strong even at that age that I knew that answering that call for me to be me was greater than me having to live under the parameters and the ignorance of what someone else believed I should be. So I was going to be me. I was determined to be me. Now, fortunately, the universe, the God, time, Buddha, whatever you believe in, the planets aligned so that, at one point in time, my mother even got to the point where she was making me dresses, helping me with my hair, and that relationship did a 180, right? We went from here all the way to here. But I was prepared to go off and live my best life. And be grateful for everything that I had as a result of my mother, but also being prepared to, move forward. And so, to bring it back to this Jerrod Carmichael special, I say that to say, if you are LGBTQIAP+, if you are whoever you are, and people around you do not accept you, because we listen, let me tell you what we're not doing in 2022. We are not being tolerated, Ain't nobody got time for your toleration. Zero time for that. If you are a person who finds yourself around people that try to quell your light, who you are, your joy, and telling you that you don't have a right to be you, and telling you that you don't have a right to wake up and smile, and telling you that you don't have a right to have the very same existence that they have, I don't care if it's your mother. I don't care. Your happiness is in your hands. I'm not telling you to hate your mother. I'm not telling you that you even have to excommunicate your mother. And maybe you will. And I'm not just going to put the onus on mothers. Mothers, fathers. I'm talking about mothers because this is what Jerrod Carmichael was talking about today. I don't care who the person is. We are only here on this planet for that amount of time. You see how quickly that went? Jerrod Carmichael's mother had an opportunity to live her life. She made her choices. She made them. This is the same woman in his special. He talks about how he forced his father to come clean to his mother about his infidelity and creating like 4 kids out of wedlock. This woman, who is deeply religious, got up, according to Jerrod Carmichael, the following day after her husband had disclosed to her that he had cheated on her. She got up and cooked him breakfast. She got up and made this man breakfast. He had 4 kids on her outside of wedlock. Now, her excuse for not being okay with Jerrod is because, she cannot forego her relationship with Jesus. But isn't infidelity? Isn't that one of the 10 Commandments? Isn't it? But you were able to find forgiveness and acceptance when it came to your husband, but you cannot find it for your son. That's a problem for me. That is a problem for me. And I don't know if he's even put it to her in those terms or context. But someone needs to hold a mirror to her face so she can see the hypocrisy that exists there. And see, a woman like that, in my opinion, no shade to Jerrod's mom, I don't know her, but some women, some people don't like to look in the mirror. For many people, ignorance is bliss, right? Ignorance is bliss. She probably knew what was going on. That's why she got over it so quick that she was able to make bacon and eggs. Because I know any bacon and eggs that would have been made would have been worn by said husband, based on the women that I know. You done cheated on me, had 4 kids, got me out here looking crazy, and you think, if I cook you a meal, let me tell you what you better not do. Is eat it. It may not be good for your health. Don't you eat that meal after you tell me something like that. I'm playing, y'all, but I'm not playing either. So I'm just amazed that, she doesn't necessarily see the hypocrisy there. And I was going to say this just a few moments ago. She's lived her life. And I can guarantee you, if Jerrod went to his mother and said, Mom, either you stop being with this man who has cheated on you, abused you, made you look like a fool in public, had kids out of wedlock. If you don't leave him today, I'm never talking to you again. She would close the door in Jerrod's face and say, good luck. Good luck. Because what she's doing is choosing her and her happiness above anyone else. And so how dare you, as a child, feel guilty about a relationship with someone who would do the same thing to you in reverse? Choose yourself. Choose you. Choose you. Choose you. I don't care who it is. Choose you. Choose you. Every single time. I've been talking for a long time, y'all. I've been talking for a minute. This special got me riled up, because I could hear the pain in his voice. And even though he was cracking jokes and being honest, it's hard being yourself, The hardest thing to be in this world is an individual. That is the hardest thing to be. People tell you all the time, just be yourself. And by be yourself, they mean assimilate. Be like everyone else. People are terrified of individuals, of outliers, of people who march to the beat of their own drum. I remember I used to go to this club, and there used to be this guy who used to come to the club, and he would come with a sheet wrapped around him. He would show up to the club, we dressed to the nines, we didn't went out and spent, hundreds upon hundreds of dollars on our ensembles, and here he shows up, wrapped up in cotton, in a fitted sheet. And he would dance and twirl through that club with that fitted sheet on, and didn't give a damn who laughed, who pointed. He was oblivious to anyone's opinion. And I remember looking and thinking, this hoe has lost her mind. And one day it dawned on me, no, she hasn't lost her mind. She is liberated and does not give a damn about what people think or feel. And I started to talk to her after that. You know what I mean? Because there was a certain level of respect that I had to have for a person who just went against the grain and was unapologetically themselves and turned out to be one of the coolest, nicest, funniest, sweetest persons that I have had the pleasure of meeting. Just a really kind person. But if you sit back from a judgmental state, looking at that person based on their appearance and their behavior, and not necessarily willing to sort of break that barrier between the behaviors that you deem normal and the ones that this person is exhibiting that are completely harmless, then you'll miss out on a friendship like that. Because we're all afraid of individuals, myself included. Because seeing him behave like that was too much for my brain to process. But I realized he wasn't the problem. The filters by which I was seeing him, that was the problem. Because, see, I had been conditioned to behave normally. To be prim, to be proper, to walk like, talk like, speak like, act like, to do all of the things that do not make me stand out and do not bring attention to me. That's how I was living. But he said, I don't have time for that. And if someone doesn't accept you for being you, you shouldn't have time for that. Wrap a sheet around yourself and go out to a club and get your wife. Don't take it that far. But you get what I'm saying. Be you. Be you. Be the best you. If you have not seen this Jerrod Carmichael special, definitely go watch it. There were lots and lots of gems there. I didn't really go into detail about the special because I don't necessarily want to give it away and give a complete spoiler alert. But it was super, super funny, super introspective. It's a really, really good, touching, heartfelt special. So I highly, highly recommend it. Oh, is there anything else I want to talk about? Let me see. I think that's it. That's enough for tonight. So please, baby, churns, do me a huge favor. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share if you care. And I know you do. I know you do. You don't watch me this long, so you got to care about me. How could you not care about her? How? So anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and share if you care. And as always, in closing, ask yourself this one poignant question. Why be bitter when we can be better? So let's be better together. I'm the Mass Trans, and I'll talk to you guys again in my next video. Bye-bye.